Good afternoon and welcome to MOCA Centro in Brescia, Italy. Today we are interviewing 27-year-old Singapore artist Ruben Pang to find out more about his artistic practice and stint as one of the participants in the Mechanics of Wonder show, which is coming up in Brescia in February 2018. Hello, Ruben.
Hello, Camilla.
And besides Ruben Pang, today I'm here with another most welcome guest, Albano Morandi. Hello, Albano.
Hello.
Albano Morandi is a conceptual artist and the brains behind the Mechanics of Wonder show, which has now reached its 12th edition. So I'm going to ask some questions to Ruben. Ruben, we would like to find out something more about how you got involved in the Mechanics of Wonder show. So can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. I got involved with the Mechanics of Wonder through Stelva Artists in Residence, and my first time in Italy was in 2015 to do an artist in residence, and I got to see the Renaissance art, the Mannerist art in the flesh. Gian Virgilio, who was my host with Stelva Art in Residence, would introduce me to different people and see what I'm most receptive with, and one of them was Franco Piavoli 2 years ago.
Yes.
And earlier this year, he's introduced me to this project with Albano. And it really struck me, I think, the theme of the mechanics of wonder, because it's trying to figure out the physics of something that's so intangible. And I think that's the great challenge, and it certainly interested me, and I'm glad we have this affinity.
And can you tell us something about the triptych that you have made for the show?
Right. I think the first thing I'd like to talk about with regards to the triptych was that it made me confront something that I was self-conscious about, and that's the idea that when I create a painting, there is the need to be impressive. So there's this ego involved. Mm-hmm. And I've always regarded that with a degree of ambivalence. There's this ego, and there's also the positive aspect of creating something impressive, for lack of a better word, which is an internal empowerment. And so I was looking for a sort of energetics, and the idea of being ridiculously pure, as if the painting was really being projected out of your psyche. That's something I try to put into the painting process. Okay. The work itself, I think it's very much about the physicality of painting. And I think that the narrative is a physical narrative going out and in, right? Because I paint and I sand things down. And it's a negotiation with the ambivalences, with the tensions that come with any creative work. I think the point is that I try to make my process clear in some ways, but also obscure in other ways. So it is a game about dualities. It's a game about tensions.
Okay. And are you pleased with your work, with what you have made for the show?
Yeah, I think it's a strange thing. About a month ago, I was unhappy with it. Okay. And I managed to revise the final surface tension. Mm-hmm. It's mostly a varnish thing. So now I'm especially happy. Yeah.
Brilliant.
It's small wins.
Okay. Now, on a more general level, could you give us some insight into your creative process?
I paint on aluminum. I think that's something that I take for granted and I forget about. I paint on aluminum, and I think for the first 2 or 3 layers, everything looks like a stain. And so I think the game that I play with myself is that there's a late return on investment. So unlike canvas, where if you paint early on, the nuances start to be captured, and then you want to preserve the vitality of the work. That's something an artist I admire greatly, Francis Bacon, he always talked about preserving the vitality of each stroke. And for me, I think my paintings start off very dead. And what I'm doing
What do you mean by dead?
Everything looks like a stain.
Oh, right, okay.
You know, it doesn't feel artistic. At least, even to me, it feels like I'm dealing with an industrial product, and it feels like it's a very faith-driven process that you're going to build up several layers without overloading the material to the point where it falls off the metal. So you have to paint thin, and yet you're trying to create depth. So there's always this, in the material sense, there's this, tension. There's this thing you want that's not going to happen unless you believe in it, and that's something that I think now I have the technical ability to capitalize on that. But when I began, it was just a hunch that I thought it was possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And are there any circumstances that allow you to develop brighter ideas, or maybe are more conducive to inspiration?
Yeah, absolutely. I think going into the studio, I have a set of rules. It's probably a little bit superstitious.
Yeah.
So I tell myself, you don't yawn in the studio, you don't complain ever.
Okay.
You don't sigh in the studio. So the studio is a place where if I go in there, I know even if things go well, that I've made good memories there. In that sense, I hope that I could create something where it's like a fountain of ectoplasmic energy in the studio, as if I left that energy there. Every time I go in there, I just pick something up, even if I don't feel like working in a particular way, something will happen. So that's the attitude that I try to keep in the studio. And then the attitude that I have towards art in general, especially art history, would be that instead of this, I think from an egoistic point, instead of thinking like, how do I set myself apart, or how do I find something original, I think of myself always as a student, or almost everything that I do almost as if they were fan art of musicians or fan art of these heroes in art history. So the way I take it is like, there are all these gifts because these artists give of themselves what is alive in them. These gifts that they've made, they give us what they're obsessed with, and they give us what they've sacrificed for. And some of them are unfinished stories, some of them are waiting to be built upon even further. So that's my approach towards the development of my practice. I think there's a lot of imitation when I first began, and it's not up to me to say whether I've transcended that. But I hope that would be the case.
Sure. That's very interesting. And as an artist, do you feel that your work has some kind of responsibility towards the wider context where you work and live, and work in general?
An artist told me, that the fact that you choose to devote your life or a significant amount of your time to a physical act like painting, or to be a writer, that's a moral act in and of itself. That's something that I found comforting, and of course I was willing to, get with that program. The other thing that I think is important is that as an artist, I should never try to posture myself as more perfect than what I am. And so that's something I try and put in the work. I think I have to be responsible in the sense that what are my vulnerabilities, what are my weaknesses. These things I have to consider and not conceal.
So how has traveling and doing residencies abroad impacted you as an artist? I know you've been quite around.
It's made me, confront my assumptions.
Okay.
Break stereotypes.
Where exactly have you been?
Mostly Italy. I love coming back to Italy. I do.
Okay.
Israel. Australia. Seattle. A bit of the US and. I'm trying to remember. I think that's more.
Well, that's quite a lot.
Yeah, it's more than I ever dreamed of, actually. Yeah.
Okay. And how has it impacted your work? What have you learned from this experience?
Well, I've always been quite escapist.
Okay.
I've always taken the painting as a means to avoid this reality. And the traveling, I think, made me more comfortable with being uncomfortable, comfortable with being the other, more comfortable with being passerby.
Okay.
And I think in that sense, there's a breaking down of any glass ceilings or glass walls between people. I try my best to learn the languages or learn the customs.
Okay.
And I don't know if integrates the word, because I think it implies that we are already separate, which we're not. But I try to connect. I try a bit harder to connect. But I've always been shy.
Yeah.
It's made me a bit less shy.
Okay, so Albano, Ruben, you must know that the Mechanics of Wonder show is really Albano's own baby. He conceived it. He has been running it since its very beginning in 2003. Am I right?
Ho avuto modo di leggere alcune tue riflessioni in questi giorni e ne sono uscite alcune mie riflessioni poi che vorrei portarti e capire se le puoi condividere. La prima è attorno al processo creativo. Il processo creativo nasce dal contesto sociale, no? Mi sembra di aver capito tra le tue riflessioni. È l'humus culturale in cui si cresce che forma il singolo progetto artistico. Dunque l'arte non può che nascere dall'arte. Condividi che sia così?
It's a yes and no question, isn't it?
È una domanda sì o no?
Because
No.
For me, I would say,
Make it simple for me to translate.
when I started from a very arrogant place as a 16-year-old, I thought that there weren't many good paintings in the world. And I think, as you keep doing these paintings, with every year you find out how much you are horrible at it. So in a sense, when I started, I would look at 16 years old, please pardon me, I would look at these paintings of the books of old masters, right, or modern masters, and I thought I could fix that.
È chiaro che più si impara e più si sa di non sapere.
The more you learn, the more you realize that you don't.
Esatto,
No?
esatto.
Quello è il problema. Allora, la libertà ha portato all'indipendenza, ma ci ha anche reso delle isole, quindi più fragili e a rischio di nuove dipendenze. Ecco, queste nuove dipendenze che l'artista, come posso dire, ha raggiunto da un certo punto di vista, sono legate forse alle questioni di mercato, cioè l'artista è più libero dal punto di vista del pensiero, non ha problemi dal punto di vista politico, almeno in quasi tutte le parti del mondo, però questa libertà da un certo punto di vista è stata frenata da quello che è il discorso invece del mercato. Ecco. Cosa ne pensi? Sì.
The Sunday painter is the most free. I like to think that
Sunday painter.
the Sunday painter, the hobby painter.
Is that how you see yourself in the sun?
I think right now the fact is it's so surreal that people even buy my work. But for me, when I paint something, I do want to paint something that a part of it is something that I want to covet. So for me there's a fetish for the smooth surface. There's a fetish for punchy colors, and this might change. But I do, to an extent, acknowledge that art, in the form that I express, is an object. And there is a part of me that wants this object to be coveted.
What do you mean coveted?
Like wanted.
Ok, lui dice, io mi rendo conto che...
Il discorso è quello che se comunque l'artista ha un pathos e un pensiero da comunicare, spesso e volentieri la committenza aiuta a esprimere questo pensiero, no? Cioè, io mi rendo conto che spesso e volentieri anche quando il mio lavoro è stato, come posso dire, chiesto in maniera specifica su determinate situazioni, alla fine ho fatto delle cose che probabilmente non avrei fatto se avessi dovuto farlo per conto mio, ma queste cose mi sono servite molto anche per la crescita del lavoro, per cui se la committenza viene presa in maniera seria è anche quella una forma di crescita artistica molto importante.
This is what he's saying, basically. Do you agree with that to a certain extent?
Yeah, absolutely. But
D'accordo.
yeah, 100%.
Allora, il surrealismo è sicuramente un elemento della cultura artistica occidentale che ha intaccato il tuo pensiero creativo, a partire da suggestioni letterarie sia di carattere filosofico che psicanalitico che riportano la nostra mente sicuramente a ricordare lavori come quelli di André Masson o di Robert Mata. Puoi dirci quali sono gli artisti surrealisti che hai guardato con più attenzione?
Personally, it's I try to avoid the categorizations, except I do see that there's a lineage. When someone declares himself a painter, then that's a strong category. I think if Francis Bacon was accepted to be part of the Surrealists, we would be calling him a Surrealist today. And so I would say, for me, not just a Surrealist, but I would look at the work of Roberto Mata. And for me personally, it greatly recalls the abstract expressionists. It greatly recalls also de Kooning.
And also?
Yeah, de Kooning.
De Kooning, yeah.
And you know, these guys, like the line between these people and hyperfiguration, yeah, for me it's a very blurred line.
Indubbiamente tutta la pittura che nasce nel secondo dopoguerra dall'action painting ma anche all'informalità europeo nasce tutta dalla linfa surrealista, per cui è chiaro che il tuo modo di vedere poi il surrealismo è filtrato da tutte queste correnti, ma tra l'altro io credo che in questo momento il surrealismo come corrente artistica, che è sempre stato vituperato soprattutto negli anni 70 e 80, stia risorgendo nelle opere di molti giovani artisti e di artisti anche importanti che probabilmente non avevano nemmeno pensato che il surrealismo avesse potuto far parte del loro bagaglio culturale.
Yeah, in school and in museums.
A scuola e nei musei.
For a while, it's they considered it the stuff that teenagers like.
Yeah, now.
Not sophisticated.
Non così sofisticato.
For me, it's important not to be bothered whether it's, you know, trendy or not, but it's healthy for them. The part that's most healthy is, for example, when you look at Dali's work, you have great sophistication in his stream of consciousness. It's real stream of consciousness because he's not afraid to put his sexual tensions in there. He's not afraid to put scatology in there. It's real. It's not a curated sense of stream of consciousness. It's visceral.
Mm-hmm. You can see that.
Volevo solo dire che quando lui si definisce un pittore, penso che sia una delle cose più belle che un artista possa dire. Se pensiamo che uno dei più importanti artisti europei, italiani, anche se era di nascita greca, come Yannis Kounellis, che è recentemente scomparso e che non ha mai, raramente toccato dalle tele, lui si definiva un pittore, insomma. Mi ha molto colpito il fatto che tu chiami e dia una definizione di pittura come la pittura come forma di divinazione. Anche questo rientra da un certo punto di vista nel concetto surreal dadaista di dare una forma al caso, no? Che è una cosa che anche a me sta molto a cuore. E in questo ragionamento non ho potuto fare a meno di pensare a tutto il lavoro che John Cage ha fatto utilizzando l'I-Ching. Ecco, non so se tu utilizzi l'I-Ching, però mi piacerebbe sapere com'è il tuo modo di affrontare la pittura attraverso la divinazione.
Ok, I do consult the I-Ching.
Lui si consulta l'I-Ching, il libro, the Book of I-Ching, il libro cinese dell'I-Ching, ok? Sì? So you unravel something. Hai svelato una cosa incredibile.
Mi piace molto.
Mi
piace molto, sì. Sì, credo che il fatto di comunque utilizzare delle forme che apparentemente non hanno nulla a che fare con quello che il nostro lavoro sia uno degli elementi che creano meraviglia, no? All'interno di quello che facciamo. Prego.
And finally, Albano, a reflection.
Allora, un'ultima riflessione sul tuo modo di dipingere attraverso il polittico, no? Per cui un lavoro fatto attraverso vari elementi. Pratica che tra l'altro ha caratterizzato spesso e volentieri anche il mio lavoro. Vedendo la tua opera realizzata per Meccaniche della Meraviglia, non posso fare a meno che pensare in particolare a due lavori che a me hanno sempre colpito molto, che hanno molto influenzato il mio lavoro. Il retablo di Grünwald per il museo di Colmar e il giardino delle delizie di Bosch. Ecco, non so se anche queste suggestioni le puoi condividere, ecco.
When we consider the triptych, personally, I thought that it's the most power-hungry format initially. It's a format that you use when you want to have power over the viewer, and for me, I had to confront this within myself in terms of politics. What are my internal politics? As a young artist or as a child, I personally had a lot of problems with not being taken seriously, of being dismissed, of feeling as if I've been on the bullied end of the stick. And so I am in the perfect position to be a very fascist, right-wing kind of painter. You know, my personal politics seems to be ripe for being power hungry. I feel like as human beings, you know, we cannot demonize the right. These are people who could be your neighbors, it could be anybody. It's important to recognize that it's inherent in everybody, out of ignorance, out of lack of
Non dobbiamo demonizzare.
but also to recognize within myself that should I have been ignorant or should I have made wrong decisions, I could be at the bullying end of the stick. And so when I make a painting like this, I have to take the parts of compassion and the parts of hatred, and I want to put them next to each other. I think that's the responsibility, because this way I'm not propaganda.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Ruben. Okay, so I have one last trivial question now, which is your plans for the future. Do you have any exhibitions coming up?
Yes,
I know you're very busy.
I'll be part of a group show in Prima Gallery.
Yes.
This Friday.
Where is this?
In Lugano, Switzerland.
Lugano, Switzerland, yes.
I'll be touring some works in Brisbane in late October.
Yes.
And in November I'll launch a solo show in Singapore.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you very much for being
It's
with
been a
us,
pleasure.
Ruben. Thank you very much, Albano. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And you've been fantastic. Thank you.